Make a video discussing the nuances of APA citation format, since I noticed that it is a common mistake that we're making in class, and it's probably the most effective way to give a lot of feedback. So here on my references sample document, I've created just a sample list of references to use in this video. And you can use it as a reference when you're working on your assignments, not only for this class, but for other classes. I think that one of the consistent problems I've seen is that graduate students at Concordia Irvine have resources that can give them the APA format and that the algorithm is incorrect. In the library, I know the librarians will sometimes reference some of the programs that are available. There are also some engines that can create APA references for you. Keep in mind that whenever you use a tool, you need to still check against the rules for formatting. Just like you would for using something like spell check, you can run spell check as a program, but you still need to proofread your writing. And I would say that's true. You can use an engine to create your references, but you still need to check your references for formatting against the APA style guide, which is 6th edition. So that's a consistent problem I see from class to class, and that's why I'm creating this video. So I'm starting on my document with a subtitle for references in bold, and I use the plural form because there's 1, 2, 3. And I'm using Times New Roman and 12-point font, which is the standard for APA. And all the formatting, all this is set to the style guide as well. So let's talk about the first entry that I have, which is a reference for a book. And in this case, the last name of the first author is given with a comma followed by a space, an initial, a period, and a comma. Berliner, comma, B, period, comma, space. Then I use the ampersand symbol with a space, and then I give the last name of the second author, Lezin, Lezin, capitalized, followed by a comma and a space, then first initial and a period, followed by a space. Now, if I had more than 2 authors, I would simply list them, and I would use the ampersand before the last author, the last name of the last author, and I would continue. But for this sample, there's only 2 authors. The year of the book publication is given in parentheses, followed by a period and a space. And then the title of the book is given, and it's given in italics. The title is Building a Research Agenda to Improve Education Outcomes for Children and Youth in Foster Care, space, and then the subtitle is What the Experts Say, period. Now notice that the only words that are capitalized in the name of the title is the first word, building, and then the first word of the subtitle, what. There are no proper names in this title, so the only words that are capitalized are building and what. All these other words that are important, such as research, agenda, improve, education, outcomes, children, youth, foster care, experts, and say, all those words are important, but in this convention they are not capitalized. Following the title, the location of the publisher is given, San Francisco, comma, California, abbreviated, CA, both capitalized, followed by a colon and a space, and then the publisher, which is Wested. So just let me fix that. There shouldn't be a space in Wested. Followed by a period. That is the citation formula for a book using APA 6th edition. Now I'm going to skip the next one and go on to the last one, so that I can review the citation format for a journal article. In this case, we see some similarities. We give the capitalized last name of the first author, followed by a comma, a space, a first initial, period, space, second initial, period, space, period, comma, space, and then the ampersand, space, Perkins, last name of the second author, followed by a comma and a space, first initial, period, space, second initial, period, space. Then, just like in a book, the year of publication is given in parentheses, 2009, followed by a period, space. And then the title, What We Know About At-Risk Students, subtitle, Important Considerations for Principal and Counselor Leadership, period. Now, similar to a book citation, we capitalize the first word of the title and the first word of the subtitle. And similarly, in this example, there are no proper nouns, so we do not capitalize any other words. However, in the title of a journal article, we do not italicize the title. We do for a book, but not for a journal article. Following the title of the journal article, we give the title of the journal, National Association of Secondary School Principals Bulletin. And we do italicize the title of the journal, as I've done here. That is followed by a comma and then a space. And then this 93 refers to the volume number. This is volume 93 of the National Association of Secondary School Principals Bulletin. The volume number is italicized, and it is immediately followed without a space by the number of the journal that is given in parentheses. So this is volume 93, italicized, parentheses, number 2, close parentheses, comma, unitalicized. And then a space, and then you give the range of page numbers. This is pages 122 to 134, followed by a period. So there are some similarities between listing a book and listing a journal article. The conventions for the authors are similar. The conventions for capitalizing a title and a subtitle are similar. What is different is we italicize the title of a book, but not the journal article. We do italicize the title of the journal. And in the title of the journal, we do capitalize all the important words. You'll see the only word that is not capitalized in the title of the journal is the word of as a preposition. It's not a very important word. And then for the journal, we give the volume, italicize the number, not italicized but in parentheses, and then we give the span of the page numbers. Now all that seems really nitpicky and complicated, and that is just the convention for APA 6th edition. And it is important that you get the format correct. It will save you points on all of your assignments, and it will make writing your capstone project much easier because this is the format that you'll be expected to use. Now, I do want to go and highlight the way that we cite a web page. And in this case, I chose a resource for at-risk students that's in my own community. So I'm just going to put the web address in my browser. The resource that I chose is a community nonprofit organization that offers counseling for all kinds of different groups and families. It's community-based counseling. This particular counseling resource is for children and adults that are struggling with issues related to lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer identity. And I actually had to just access this resource this week for an at-risk child, so I thought it would be a good example. Now let's just look at the website. In this case, the title of the reference is going to be the author of the web site. So the website is operated by this agency, Community Human Services. That is considered the author. Now the web page, so this is the home for Community Human Services. The particular page we're on is for CATS. You can see that CAT stands for Counseling and Therapy Services. It's a mnemonic. You can see they even use little cat paws here. And I'm just going to scroll down to point out that the copyright for this web site and web page is 2017 by the author, Community Human Services. So when I need to list a date for the website, that's what I'm going to use. So let me go back to my document. Here is the author of the web site and web page, Community Human Services, the name of the agency, period, followed by space. I think I actually have two there. And then, just like in a book or a journal article, I give the year. This one is 2017, in parentheses, followed by a period, and then a space. And then I give the title of the web page. So I'm going back. Here is the website for the agency. And the particular web page was the CATS. This is the web page, and here's the title of the web page. It's CATS. And although their convention is to use all lowercase, that's sort of their style or stylistic quirk, I am going to give the title of the web page with a capital. So the title of the web page is CATS, capital C-A-T-S, period, and that is italicized. And then I have two spaces, and I simply put retrieved from, and then I list the web address followed by a period. And I simply got that by copying, and then I paste, and add a period. You do not need to list the date that you retrieved the information from the website or web page. You simply put retrieve from, web address, followed by a period. Now, some overall things to say about the citation page. We want to double space, and then in the case of a book, a website, or a journal article, you're also going to use a hanging indent. So you'll see that I start each reference flush left with my margin, but that each successive line for the citation has a hanging indent, and that's just a tab. So that's the first reference. The second reference is flush left, and then there's a hanging indent for all successive lines of the reference. And my third one, flush left, and then hanging indent for successive lines. The last convention that I'll point out is that when you're giving references, you do want to alphabetize. So in this case, I listed Berliner, the book reference, and then Community Human Services, the website reference, and then Johnson, the journal article reference. I put them in alphabetical order, B, C, J. So that's my overview for APA citation for a book, a website, and a journal article. Please review this video, and then if you have further questions, contact me by phone or text. We can review this tutorial, or we can discuss your specific assignment.